Hi there, and welcome to Cosmic Soul Alignment TV. We are beyond the veil and unlocking the unknown. This is your space to hear fearless conversations about the mystical, the metaphysical, and everything in between. From energy healing and intuition to portals, alternate lives, and cosmic truths, we'll jump deep into what most won't talk about. And I'm excited to share what I'm passionate about with you. So let's uncover the unknown together. Now, today on my very first show, I have the lovely Megan North, who is an internationally recognised speaker, a TV host, an intuitive guide devoted to transforming how we experience success and well-being. And based in Sydney, Australia, she has over 20 years of leadership coaching with deep metaphysical insight. Her unique approach integrates spiritual tools, especially angel and oracle card readings, with holistic healing practices. And Megan empowers others to release overwhelm, align with their purpose, and embrace mindful, balanced living. And through her heartfelt work, she helps clients tune into their intuition, awaken their inner wisdom, and create lives of joy, clarity, and meaning. So welcome, Megan, to the show.
Thank you, Dawn. It's so lovely to be your first guest.
Yes, and on that, a little bit of an update. You guys hosted my Transcend Succeed show for a whole 9 months to allow me to facilitate a huge international move. And it's been such a joy watching you guys host the show. You brought so much value to every episode and you held space for deep conversations around purpose and wellness and authentic living. And I'm very grateful to you for standing in for me while I got settled in this new location. Meanwhile, Transcend and Succeed is actually evolving into something closer to my soul's purpose, hence the Cosmic Soul Alignment TV. And I'll be diving even deeper into the metaphysical and the mystical, out-of-body experiences, portals, to name a few subjects, and all the magical conversations that light me up and have done really for decades. I've just not talked about it. But now you are launching your own show on the Awaken, Align, Ascend channel. So can you tell us a bit about that, Megan?
Yes, thank you. And firstly, Dawn, just thank you so much for having me as your guest host on the Transcend and Succeed show.
You're welcome.
It's such a beautiful journey, and I know that we're going to delve into that a little bit more.
Yes.
So I will be launching the True North show under our channel. And the True North show will explore people's journeys from living a life without purpose and passion, and then where did they get to in their life, and where was that fork in the road that they decided and felt into the courage or the confidence of making a decision to go down the road of a passion and purpose life as opposed to just living and being. So we're going to explore that. But we'll also explore the mental health and well-being aspect of their journey as well. And how do people who are living a life of passion and purpose continue to look after their mental health and well-being, and what does that mean? We're going to explore a lot of other things as well, but the following the True North and the mental health and well-being will be the main aspects of the conversation.
It's wonderful. I think you're going to have great success with it. It's a wonderful subject. So wish you all the very best of luck with it. But now, in alignment with all that's mystical and metaphysical, tell us how you got started with intuitive practices, and I think in particular to oracle card readings.
I think that I have always been intuitive. And before my mum passed away 14 years ago now, sorry, not 14, 2014, so 11 years ago, I got to ask her, did I have any spiritual or imaginary friends as a child? And she said, oh my goodness, you were talking to lots of people at lots of times. So I think that I was very in tune at that time. And then as I got older and became a teenager and into my mid-teens, I started drinking alcohol. And interestingly, my intuition and my gifts, I think, were drowned And so I knew there was a subtlety there that I did know, that I was intuitive and I would get messages and those sort of things, but I don't think I realized how important that was. Till about 15 years ago, I stopped drinking, and that was when things started to really crack open for me, because there was nothing blocking the messages anymore. I was clear. I was a clear channel. And interestingly, then in a couple of years after that, because I'd recently been divorced, I went into a very dark place. My mental health was not in a great place, and I was quite depressed, and I was in a very, very dark place there for a while. Then my mum passed away, and I was dealing with a lot of things. But when the morning that my mum passed, it's a long story, but long story short, the morning that my mum passed, I actually witnessed her soul leaving her body.
Wow.
And I feel like it was the biggest gift that she could have ever given me, because I felt so connected to her at that time, and to be able to, I visually saw it and to experience it. And then my intuition and my spirituality went crazy, because she'd really unlocked something for me. Now, I hear my mum all the time. I love that my mum is there all the time, and we have very interesting, funny conversations, and she makes lots of remarks at times which are hilarious. But I feel like that was a beautiful gift that she gave me. And then my spirituality really soared after that, because I was really connected. Plus, I was a clear channel because I wasn't drinking. There was a whole heap of things that happened at that time. So that's probably where my strong sense came from. I think it was always there. It was just a process that I needed to go through to get to that clarity. And the cards came in probably, I don't know, 20, 25 years ago. I used to go to a woman and have a reading, and it just always fascinated me. And then I just picked up my own set of cards, and I used to play with them. And then I started to sort of realize I had a real connection with the cards, and I could just get them and look at them and know instantly what the message was that I needed. It's very rare that I would need to look through a book or anything like that, because intuitively I just knew. And about 10 years ago, my husband said, "Why are you not charging people for doing this? Because this is incredible." And so then I just started to get regular clients, and that's where the journey has been. It's been incredible.
That's good. So, oracle cards, what do they mean to you on a soul level then?
So oracle cards, so a lot of people don't know what oracle cards are, but most people know what tarot cards are. So tarot is a deck of cards that have an exact structure and are 78 cards in a deck, whereas oracle cards don't have that structure. So oracle cards can be any sort of subject, any iteration, however many cards that you want in the deck, it doesn't matter. So there's a real flexibility with oracle cards. And I think that's why I'm attracted to oracle cards, is because in my life, I like flexibility. I like variety. And so for me, when I look at tarot cards, they feel too structured for me. Whereas when I look at oracle cards, it's a bit different. And it's really interesting, because when I work with my clients and they come to me for readings, the comment is always, "Yep, I knew this, but it's really nice to get the confirmation." And so I feel like that cards are a tangible way that people get messages or confirmation or an affirmation about something that's happening in their life, or the guidance that they need, who are not so aligned that they're really wanting to trust themselves and what they're getting themselves. Yeah. So it's that tangible, "Oh, well, the card said this is exactly what I was feeling."
Yeah, they're just looking for the validation. Yeah, but they think they know it inside, but they're just looking for somebody else to tell them. I hear you.
So I feel like that's the role that the cards play for me being able to then share experiences with clients. And one of the things that I do when I do start a reading with a client is I say to them, don't tell me anything. Don't talk to me about anything. Let me get a few cards out. Let me tune in. Let me give you what I'm getting and share with you what I'm getting. And then let's have a conversation, particularly if it's somebody that I know, because I feel like then that way it validates that. Because if someone says, tell me about career, and then all of a sudden all the cards are about career, that people could be thinking, oh, well, I just told you that. Whereas if they're not telling me anything and then I'm using the cards, I find that builds a rapport really quickly with the client as well, because they've not told me anything, but I've tuned in really quickly. And the other thing that I do with my clients is I say to them, I'm going to keep asking you, does that make sense? Because I start to channel and I have no idea what I'm saying often. And so I will constantly be checking in. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Because one, it means that I know I'm aligned and I'm in tune with them, but it also then gives them validation as well.
Yeah. And I think that really helps people, move things along. They just need that tiny little bit of information, and that's them, boom, they can be off. I totally understand what you're saying. So is there something that you do then? I know we're always told, protect yourself from the other energies. Is there anything that you do to prepare yourself before a reading?
I used to, but not really anymore. I have this constant understanding. So I tune in with creator of all that is. So it could be anything for anyone. It could be your God, your Buddha, Allah, whatever you believe in. But creator is my constant connection. Yep. And so I just have this overarching understanding with him that I am always protected and that my energy is protected. So I used to do a white light protection, which is very good for people who are particularly as starting out. So that's about imagining that there's a halo of white light above your head, and then you feel it and you bring it over and all the way down to your feet. And that can be a beautiful protection from people's energy. But I just have this, I know I'm protected all the time now. So the energy doesn't bother me anymore. I know it doesn't stop me from tuning in. It just stops me from taking on their energy or taking on anything that they're holding or that they're being burdened from.
And I think when I first started out with the energy healing, it was always, oh, you really must protect yourself. And I did exactly that, I just always did it. It was a routine right at the start of every healing. I can't remember the last time I did it now, because I think I have that trust, like you said, that you're protected, that everything's okay. And I think if you have a belief, even a little subconscious belief at the back of your mind there, that you could be under psychic attack or take on somebody's energy, then that can possibly happen to you, because what you believe you create. Yeah. And I find that I don't need that either. So there you are. Self-trust.
Yeah.
Self-trust.
Yeah, it is. The trust is really important. And to be honest, I've got my little candle lit at the back here at the moment. But usually I usually make sure that my space is cleared, particularly if someone's been here. If I'm about to do a reading and the day before my cleaners have been in the apartment or something, I'll do I'll sage, or I'll do a spray of some type of oil. But normally I normally just tune into what cards do I need, because I do have a set of particular cards that I use in a reading, but sometimes there could be ones that aren't right. And so I just tune into what cards do I need. And that's just more just going to my big deck of cards back there and just picking them and then going, okay, what else do I need? And then I just put them on the desk and just put them to the side. And then I just intuitively pick up whatever I need.
Yeah. Not that you've only got one set of cards, Megan. You've got a whole cupboard full of them behind you.
I've got about 15 decks of cards.
I'm really curious to know. I know you've got that many, but do you pick them based on their vibration? And for each set, is the vibration different?
Good question. The vibration is definitely different for some of them. I've got a couple of decks that are really specific to specific people that I can use them for. And one deck in particular, which is really interesting, I bought it a few years ago. My husband and I were on holidays and we were walking down the street, and I got a very strong message to say, you need to turn left down that alleyway and go into that crystal shop, and you need to buy a deck of oracle cards. And I was like, okay. So I say to Darren, come on. So he's like, okay. So because he's used to this sort of stuff. So he comes with me and I walk into the shop, and it's a beautiful shop. And the lady said, oh, can I help you? And I said, oh, no, I've just been guided by my guides. I have to buy an oracle card deck. And she said, oh, they're over there. So I just went over, and then I picked this beautiful deck. But I realise it doesn't work for everyone. It's quite specific because they're mermaids, and they're quite edgy and gothic kind of looking mermaids. So the cards are quite edgy. And so for some people, they just don't resonate at all. So they're kind of at the bottom of my stack because I don't get them out a lot to use them. But yeah, so the vibration is definitely different for all of the decks of cards. And I don't know, I just intuitively know which ones to pull out and which ones to use.
That's great. And I know you've offered to do a few cards reading for me later on in the show, which will be great. But for now, can you describe to us then one of your most profound oracle card sessions? What happened?
So I've got this beautiful client that I only met a couple of years ago, and I met her through someone else, and I was doing like a spiritual healing sort of course, and she popped up, and she was really new to all of this, really open and really just fascinated about the whole spirituality. And so at the beginning of each year, one of the oracle card readings that I offer, I don't just offer it at the beginning of the year, but it's often done at the beginning of the year, is a 12-month forecast reading. So people can have it at any time, but majority of my chunk of clients that want that reading always come to me at either the end of December or beginning of January because they want to know what's the year ahead. And so 2 years ago, she came to me and had a 2-month forecast reading. And she actually lives in the area, so she came and did it in person. And it was just mind-blowing for her because she just was so fascinated with the process. But the most beautiful thing has been in that year was every month I got an update from her because she took a photo of all the cards of, oh my gosh, you're not going to believe what happened this month. Da, 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 da. Oh my gosh, you're not going to believe what happened this month. Da, 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 da. And the cards were just exactly how her year played out. And it was just really, it was just beautiful. I love being on a journey with someone who's really new to this because they're just so in awe of it, and it's just really lovely. So every year now she comes and has a 12-month forecast reading. And actually I haven't heard from her for a couple of months, so I must give her a prompt because she must have been really busy, because usually she's like, oh my gosh, I haven't messaged you for a couple of months. This is what's been happening.
That's great.
It's just really lovely.
That's lovely to get really good feedback from clients. I know I love that too. And it makes you feel all goosebumps and happy that you're actually positively impacting somebody's lives, regardless of what it is that you do. You know, it's fantastic.
It is. It's really beautiful.
Let me ask you a question about oracle cards and mental health and emotional healing. How do you use that to help them?
Good question. So, I think it's interesting from a mental health point of view that often our mental health can be wobbling because we feel like we're out of control, or life is out of control, or we're not really sure what direction we're going in. Because, when we're mentally healthy and we've got focus, we've got purpose, we know what our passion is, and we're living our life holistically, so we're healthy, like physically we're healthy, we're doing good things for our body, then when all of that is in place, then I think mentally we're in a good space. But if something's off, if people might be going through, they might be having some financial issues or a divorce, or there's something wrong with their children, all of those sort of things, then that can really throw off your mental health, because something is out of balance, something isn't right, and then it affects everything. Particularly people who may have issues with children, then they're not sleeping well, then they're not eating well, and then it has this big ripple effect, right? So I think that cards then, again, I think that having a reading at that time actually refocuses people, because it's almost a reminder and a mindset shift of, oh, yes, now I remember what life was, say, 6 months ago or 12 months ago. Yes, now I remember that when I had, if you get a card about routine, oh, yes, now I remember that when I had good routines in place, life was a bit smoother. Now I know that when I looked after my body, life was better, those sort of things. So I feel like the cards then tune in and help from a mental health capacity point of view in that way.
So it's a bit like then giving them a bit of a leg up from the bottom of the trench that they feel they're in. Yeah. Just giving them a little bit. Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah, because it's almost then the hope, like it gives them, and I think it also validates that actually things aren't as bad as what is in your head. Because when we're spiraling and when we've got a billion things in our head, it just gets worse and worse. Whereas I think sometimes the cards give you that reminder of, oh, yeah, okay, or it gives you a perspective, or it just gets you to stop and just take a moment and actually just reflect on who you are. And then you realize, because your brain slows and then your brain has a break, that it goes, actually things aren't as bad as what I'm thinking that they were.
Bit of a jolt back to reality, because it's true, you're talking about that spiraling thing. If there's something, if there's an issue going on in your life and you're not sure how to solve it, you tend to think negatively. Excuse me, you tend to think about worst case scenarios, and this will drag you back up, which is great.
Yeah, exactly.
Out of your 15 decks, I need to know, do you have a favourite, and what are they?
Probably my favourite is, I have, and I'll grab them when we're on our break, I'll grab them and I'll show them. Okay. I've got this beautiful deck of cards that they're spirit animal cards. Now, they're a North American deck of cards because they have a black bear and a moose and we don't have those animals here in Australia. But the spirit animal cards are really powerful because the animal itself then has a lot of attributes that then it brings to your life. And I just find that the spirit animal cards really give people this, I don't know what it is, maybe because it's an animal that then they can actually identify with and see and know. But when I start a reading, I always start with a spirit animal card to say what's the overarching feeling and theme of what your reading is going to be, and also what your theme is going to be for the next few months. And so when I give people a spirit animal card, particularly people in Australia, say it's a moose, I might say to them, now, a spirit animal card doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to see that animal in its physical form. So for us in Australia, we're not going to see a moose. But you may be somewhere and someone says, why don't you try this chocolate mousse? Now, it's spelled differently and it has a different reason behind it. But what I always say to my clients is, what were you thinking at that time when you heard someone say chocolate mousse? Because sometimes the spirit animal will then try to get its message into you in a different way because it physically can't turn up as an animal. But, if you're thinking about you're having a conversation with someone and you're reflecting and they're like, oh, did you try the chocolate mousse? It's like, oh, what was I thinking of at that moment? Because that word mousse is actually then triggering what was showing up for me at that time. So it's quite fun, actually, because I love to then hear about, how did it turn up? And someone the other day said to me that because they got the bee, and they said, I do see bees, but she said I was walking into a shop and I was thinking about something and there was a cushion with a bee on it. And so she said, I really tuned into, okay, what was I thinking at that time?
Mm-hmm.
So they're really lovely cards, and they're just, I don't know, they just have a beautiful energy about them.
Yeah. So you say you always start the reading off with a spirit animal card. Do you, how many decks do you use for each reading, and and does each deck represent a certain aspect, maybe?
So I use a spirit animal card, and then there's 3 different decks that I usually use through a reading. The funny, and they're so one of them is like a work your light card. So they've got this very light energy about them. And then I do actually use an angel wisdom deck of cards, which are actually tarot. But for some reason, they work well with those 2 cards. I then use a beautiful deck, a divine feminine deck, because you usually get like a female feminine energy behind what is then going to support you through the time.
Mm-hmm.
So they kind of, and the funny thing is that I usually sort of grab 3 or 4 cards of each. But even once they're all sort of laid out, even down that way and across that way, they still all make the same story. Like, it's quite, people get really fascinated because they're like, well, what are you're using all these different decks? I'm like, just trust me, because the message will be the same and there will be a theme.
Mm-hmm.
And then I've got a couple of other ones, which is like a soul purpose deck of cards, and a love cards as well, that I often use too, just if there needs to be a bit of a different aspect of energy through what's happening for them at the moment. So it just depends on, what we're working on or what we're talking about. Or then if someone says specifically, I've got a specific question at the end, then I'll go, okay, are any of these cards that I've used what I need to use? And if not, then I'll get something else. And so these are chakra, right? So this is like working on your chakras. So these cards are really good too, because they're quite deep and insightful for what's happening at that time of what chakra do you actually need to work on.
Mm-hmm. Great stuff. It was very interesting. I mean, I've got a set of tarot cards. I have fairy tarot cards. And I have another set of tarot cards, but I just don't feel, they were my first set, and I just don't feel like I need to use them. But my fairy cards, I seem to resonate a lot more with that. I'm still on the lookout for other decks, but I did try and find some here, but you'll be lucky. I walked into a bookstore. You'll laugh at this. I walked into this bookstore and I looked for tarot cards. There was a whole shelf of them. I was so excited. And I got over there and I thought, oh, which one am I going to go for first? Every single one of them were in French. I'm not that good at French at the minute. I'll just have to stick with the set I've got. So I'm on the lookout for some more cards. But you never know. Listen, we're going to take a quick break, but after the break, Megan's going to tell she's got an offer for an oracle card reading for you, and she's going to read me some cards. So stay with us. We will be right back. and welcome back to Cosmic Soul Alignment. I'm here today with the lovely Megan North, and we are talking all about oracle cards. So, firstly, you said you have an offer that you want to give. Let me just pop this up on screen. Please tell us about it, Megan.
So this is a little mini oracle card reading or angel card reading. So it's 30 minutes. And these are really great because sometimes there's just one thing that you just really want to get some clarity on, and you don't need a whole hour or 90 minutes. This is just a quick 30-minute reading, and if there's something specific that someone wants to have some guidance on. So the QR code there, if they click on that, then they can book into my calendar and pay for the reading, and then we can do it online. And the best thing is doing it online as well, is that then we can record the reading as well, and so that then you can have it to keep as well.
That's great. Have a recording. Yeah, that's great. You can look back at it any time. I know, because sometimes I'm exactly like that. When I'm getting a reading from somebody, you don't remember everything at all.
Yeah.
Even if you write some things down, sometimes you lose context. So I think that's a really great idea. Thank you for that, Megan.
You're welcome.
Now, I know we're going to do a little bit of a reading. So which deck are we going to use?
I had a bit of a laugh because I just grabbed. So these are the spirit animal cards. They're really beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And a dragonfly is actually my spirit animal, my constant spirit animal. But as I picked them up, a card fell out, and the moose card fell out. So it must have been listening.
My goodness, there you go.
So actually, Dawn, I thought that I would shuffle and get you a spirit animal and just see what the card is and what the message is from that animal, and if it resonates. Ooh. So this is a wolf.
They're gorgeous cards, aren't they?
Yeah, they're gorgeous. Yeah. So here's a pathfinder. So it says, release your past and start a new journey. Exactly what we're doing today.
Yeah.
You are a teacher and help others find their way. There will be challenges, but your soul is strong. Perseverance is your secret power. You have a love that endures.
Oh,
So I think that that's really beautiful, because that actually really represents where you are at the moment.
it does indeed. Yeah. New beginnings.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, new beginnings. And the eyes, like, I feel like that this is a message for you to, like, stay focused, stay on the path of where you want to go.
Yeah.
And just keep going. Like, that focus, I think, is going to be really important for you. Oh, and on the path, and it's Pathfinder. I didn't even see because I'm not really taking much notice of what I'm saying, because I'm kind of channeling. So I'm sort of, oh yeah, Pathfinder. But yeah, that's really beautiful. I think that that's like a real focus for you, definitely. So that's the spirit animal cards. But let's use the chakra oracle cards.
Okay.
And what I'll do is I'll just I will ask all the guides and angels that are around us, and what advice or what guidance does Dawn need today? And it's interesting because sometimes the card has just popped quickly. But sometimes the cards can take a long time to come out, and sometimes
they refuse.
When that happens, well, it's actually then I get guidance that the person's guides and angels are deciding what do they want to focus on for the reading for the person, because and interestingly, because I use 3 different decks, sometimes I get to the last deck and they tell me don't get the card out yet. Wait until you've done the rest of the reading, and then we'll decide what guidance needs. So it's quite interesting.
It's interesting.
Really so this card is relationships for you. Okay. So this is your sacral. This is the second chakra. So we've got the base chakra, then we've got the sacral, then we have the solar plexus, the heart, the throat, the third eye, and then the crown chakra. Sure. And so this one is for you from a relationships point of view. And So what I'm tuning into for you is it's really interesting. It ties in with the wolf card that you got of release your past and start a new journey. I feel like that at the moment you're reviewing the relationships that you have with certain people. That you're
Yes.
thinking, are these the people that I want in my life, or do I need to release them and let them go? It's almost like you're at a bit of a crossroads of what energy do I need to let go of from a relationship point of view to bring in new energy. Does that make
Mm-hmm.
sense?
It does.
Yeah, yeah. Because what we find with relationships and who's in it is that when we spiritually up level, then we have people who are here and then they come on the journey with us, but then some people are down here. So we need to release that energy because then it frees it up for new people to come in at where the level that we're at.
And that was the
Yeah?
guidance I got for my reading, my tarot reading, because I do one every Friday. That was what I got. I think it was 2 weeks ago. Exactly that, what you've said.
Right.
That's funny. There
Yeah.
you go. Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, there you go. Okay, and so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to ask from a card point of view, what action can you take? What action can you take to then help you release those? So we got this one, which is universal light. So
Mm-hmm.
for me, that is just a reminder to you that when you tune in and when you're completely aligned, you know what decisions you need to make in relation to your relationships.
Mm-hmm.
But the connection that you have with whoever your guide is will always hold the space for you to be able to gracefully release those relationships.
Okay.
Because when people are going out of our lives, we're humans, right? And it's sad, but we do know that actually that person isn't aligned to me anymore, or that person isn't the right person. If we
Yeah.
didn't feel sad about it, then maybe the relationship wasn't as strong as what we wanted in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
But this is just a reminder for you that that the universe and all of your guides and everyone has really got your back, but also that they're also then going to be bringing in the right relationships for you.
Mm-hmm. And I think with that,
Yeah,
comes acceptance. Accept that you have spiritually evolved and others haven't, and there's nothing you can do about that. It's
yeah,
just you naturally gravitate from people in all different times of your life, really, not just at one point. It happens all the time. When you evolve and you grow, if those in your circle don't evolve and grow, then they can just, you start to see a gap. And I've been very much more accepting of that and understanding. Whereas I think before, the helper inside of me would want to say, oh, come on, come with me. Let me help you with this, when they're not even in the slightest bit interested. Right. So I
yeah,
think trying to acknowledge that and understand that they're at the right point in their life. They need to be there right now. And it's not my job to fix them, because it's none of my business.
yeah,
If they want to be where they are, then that's entirely their choice. And I feel so
yeah.
much more at ease understanding that.
Mm, yeah.
Mm.
And I think the other interesting thing too is that when that happens and you don't contact a person or you don't connect with them, all of a sudden you realize, well, actually they've not contacted me either, and that
Yeah.
actually they've fallen away with no stress or anxiety. So
Mhm.
obviously it's been the right thing for both of us anyway.
Yes, it happened. Yeah, I know. Strange how creator works. Very
Yeah.
strange.
Yes. Yeah. 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 Good. Do you want me to pull another card or you want me to keep going?
You can if you want to. Yeah, one more. Let's
All
do
right.
one more.
Okay, let's do one more. Okay. What other messages does Dawn? Oh, okay. Right. Oh, okay. So dreams. So this is interesting. So this is your crown chakra. So this is about. So are you a person that remembers your dreams?
On occasion, my dreams have been really wacky lately, all over the
Right.
place. Yeah. Hmm.
Okay.
Very
Hmm.
strange.
Okay. Interesting. Um, So, interesting. Okay. So usually when this card comes up, it's often about then what can you do to try to tune into your dreams and find out what messages they're trying to give you. So one of the things that I suggest to people is if you wake up first thing in the morning and you remember your dreams, have a pen and paper and just write it down as soon as you wake up. Because often after we wake up and, we kind of have breakfast or whatever, then we don't remember. So the wacky dreams that you're having at the moment, maybe they might feel less wacky if when you wake up and you remember some of it that you write it, because then over time you start to review and then you see, oh, there's a pattern here, or actually there's no pattern here, but it actually just gives you a little bit of a reflective tool to see what's sort of coming through in your dreams.
Interesting. It's trying to remember to do that in the morning. I know I'm really terrible. I have got a book this thick with all the dreams I wrote down from about 25 years ago or so. It was just before I told my ex-husband I wanted a divorce. There were horrible dreams all the way up there. The night I told him I wanted a divorce, I never had any dreams for months and months. So that was a way of it telling me that my life was so out of balance. Everything was so incoherent because, like I said, it was all over the place. It was really, really bizarre. But yeah, dreams are something that really interests me. And it's funny how they're all symbolic of something that's going on in your life, and they give you that in a way that you can interpret. But sometimes it can take quite a while for us to understand what that is. Yeah, it's amazing. The recurring dreams are very interesting. Thank you, Megan. That was interesting.
And if we tie it then back to the wolf, like the spirit animal, you are a teacher and help others find their way. So it's quite interesting because I kind of, it was saying release your past and start a new journey. You're a teacher and you help others find their way. And I'm tuning into that line because I'm feeling that maybe the dreams that are coming through are something connected to like the next level of spirituality that you're stepping into and the new work that you're doing. And how can you teach? How can you share? How can you make sure that you're doing that more and more? Because, there will be challenge. Your soul is strong. Perseverance is your secret power. You have a love that endures. So for me, that feels like that sharing and your knowledge and what you know is going to help a lot of other people. Like it's going to greatly help others. And so I feel like those dreams and what is coming through is kind of a bit of an insight into what you can share.
Got it. And that's what I fully intend to do with Cosmic Soul Alignment, talk about the things that really interest me, have people on to talk about their experiences that most people don't want to talk about. And I think it needs to get some airtime. So I'm going to give it some airtime.
And maybe that's why the relationships came through too then again, that if you're going to start to talk about things that really challenge people's thinking, then maybe they're not the people that you need in your life anymore.
Understood. I know.
Just be okay with that. Yeah.
Thank you very much. That was great.
You're welcome.
Amazed at how accurate that was, actually. Very accurate with the path I'm on. I know, that's really great. I have another question for you. So, what advice would you give people then if they want to deepen their connection with oracle cards, if they have this little burning desire to learn? Where would you start them off? Which way would you direct them?
It's just about getting a deck that you're connected with. So you could put something out there to say, please, guide to the right oracle card deck that I'm going to resonate with. But then it's just about playing with them and having fun, doing readings for yourself, more and more readings for yourself. And then you start to get this pattern of you don't need the book anymore because you get the card and you realize what the message is. And then it's about having that courage and confidence to asking someone, oh, can I do a little reading for you? Because then, that's a real test then, right? Because it's not just you, it's for someone else. But I find that the turning point, because I do teach Oracle, I teach people how to read Oracle card readings. I do teach online and in person. And I find that the critical moment is they say to me, I didn't need to refer to my book anymore. And so I'm like, right. So your intuition has then really kicked in. And also you're trusting your intuition. You don't need the book as a guide anymore. So I feel like that's often a turning point. So if someone's starting to play with the cards and having some fun with it, and then you realize you're not getting your book out as much anymore, then, you know, you're probably really tuned in and your intuition is growing.
Yeah, I find that as well. I have to reiterate that, you know, practice. It's practice that makes perfect. And yes, if you just learn to, you have to sit there and look at the card and say, okay, what's this giving me? What's this telling me? And I find that even though I had never seen this card before, if I just focused on it for a little bit and just allowed the information to come through, I didn't need the book really, because what it tells you, what you're given intuitively is what is right, referencing that card at that present moment. Yeah, I find the book is just an initial guide about how it was created and what the main words or the main emotions are connected to this card. And I think it just spirals off after that. And that's what happens with mine. I love it. I really enjoy doing them.
And it's really interesting when someone, so in my class that I teach in person, so I've had this class now for nearly a year and they've all been on a beautiful journey and it's wonderful. And that's why we're now using the chakra cards, because I'm now teaching them all about the chakra system and all of that sort of stuff. But it's really funny because they all do their own readings through the class. And then I wander around and I'll stand there and I'll look at it and I'll be like, oh, yeah, well, I know what that means. And they're like, do you? What? What do you? And I'm saying, well, what do you get first? And then they say this, this, and this. And I'm like, yeah. I say, yep, but what about this card, this first one? I get this. And they're like, oh my gosh, I wouldn't have even thought of that. That's spot on. And so it's interesting too when you're learning to have someone else who knows a little bit about cards to look at what you're getting and how you're interpreting them. Because when I talk about that, you're getting out of your own way. Because when you're looking at your own cards all the time, you're tending to put your own personal emotion and your own perspective on it. But then if someone else is looking at them for you, it can be a different perspective.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So let me ask you then, how do you differentiate then between your intuition and I suppose your logical mind when you're looking at cards? Is there a difference, or?
I don't think logic comes into it. I just know,
No.
like, it's just, I look at it and I get
probably
it.
logic wasn't the right word, but when you're looking at the card, that maybe there's an action that's going on in that card. How do you know what your intuition is telling you, rather than what your eyes are telling you? That's maybe what I was meaning.
Well, it just, whatever the words come out of my mouth. Because that's why I say that. I often say, I'm going to ask you, does that make sense? Because I just channel. Like, it's almost like I'm the vessel. Because
it's hard to describe.
I know, it's really hard to describe. It is actually very hard to describe. I just say what I think it is, or what I see, what I know, what I feel, all of the above. I don't know. It's quite hard to describe what it is and how it is. You know, like I say, I'm clairaudient, right? But someone says, is it like literally hearing this voice in your ear? And I'm like, well, no, it's not really. And I say I hear my mum and I hear my guides, but it's not like they're just there yapping in my ear per se. But I just know maybe it's an energy, it's a frequency. I mean, my mum, it's easy to know because I know her voice.
Yeah.
Because, you know, she was my mum. But my guides and angels are a little bit different. It just feels like a different energy. It feels, the angels feel different to the guides, feel different to the archangels. It's just an energy shift for me that I kind of feel. So it's very hard to describe, Dawn. It's very hard.
I know it is. It is. I had a bad attempt. asking that question. Maybe I shouldn't, but it's really hard. It really is. It's hard to describe it because
Yeah,
we know it. It's not like something physical that we can talk about that people will understand.
I
It's a
know.
knowing. It's an innate wisdom. You know, yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
We've got a few minutes left, but I wanted to ask you just quickly: have you ever received a message through the cards that surprised even you?
Have I ever received? Not from my own reading, but probably from someone else. So, I mean, this week, last weekend just gone, I was up the coast at a friend's place. We were looking after their farm, and I've got a beautiful girlfriend that lives up the coast. I call her my white witch because she does potions and spells, and she does tarot, and she's just beautiful. Anyway,
Uh-huh.
I went to see her because for your birthday every year you get a voucher and da 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 da. So I thought, oh well, I'm up the coast, I'll go and see her. So I walked in and she's like, so why are you here? I'm like, I don't know, just thought I'd come and see you, you know. Anyway, starts to get her cards out because I talked to her about a few things, but there was one thing in particular that I was asking guidance on. And look, I'm usually in big trust mode, like I just trust when things are being paused.
Mm-hmm.
But I said to her, I just don't understand why this is being paused. Anyway, she got a couple of cards out and we're like, yeah, that makes sense. And then one came out upside down and it represented something that she said to me. I think that there's a reason why it's being paused at the moment, and this could be why it is. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. Hadn't even thought of that perspective. And then today, when I was talking to the business partner that I'm doing this work with, um, he said something to me, and then we both decided at the same time, oh, really, we should be including this person in this meeting because actually they're the key to this point. And he goes, yeah. And I went, yeah. And all of a sudden I realized it was exactly what that card was representing.
Uh-huh.
So it's just those little type of things that, you know, sometimes I go, yeah, I was overthinking it, and then when I let it go, then it kind of dropped in today, and I was like, okay, that all makes sense.
There
So
you
I think
go.
for me, it's also just not overthinking things as well.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep.
Mm.
One last question then. What have you got going on just now? Have you got any projects in the mix? Anything that's going to be released later you want to tell us about?
My show, obviously.
Yeah.
um, what else have I got going on? Lots of things. So I will be releasing a couple of angel card or oracle card courses online. So I'll be doing that in the next few months, in the winter months here in Australia. I'm going to be doing a lot of recording and doing those sort of things. Um, and I've got a flood of beautiful, amazing women that I'm working with at the moment, from a purpose finding point of view. So I help people find their passion and their purpose. I've got a real flood of that at the moment. So I feel like that the energy has shifted this year, and people are not wanting to just be working in their usual jobs anymore. They really want to find out another way of how they can work in their passion and their purpose. And each time I have a new client, I kind of create an amazing program for them that's really interesting. It's evolving this year as well. So
Mm-hmm.
that's quite interesting. And lots of other things that I'm doing with another business partner who we're running workshops for women. They are in person in Sydney. So, for international people, unfortunately, that's not available. But yeah, there's quite a few things going on at the moment.
It's going to keep you out of mischief. That's what I keep saying. It'll
Yeah,
keep
and
you
off
out
the
of
street.
mischief. I know. Very true. I didn't want to say that, but since you said it. Megan, thank you so much for being my first guest on my brand new show. I am very happy to have had you here. Great conversation. I've got another few questions that I will come and ask you about later. But for now, I want to say thank you so much. And thank you everybody for watching Cosmic Soul Alignment. And we'll see you next time. Take care, Megan. Bye.
Thank you.